This morning, we're taking a closer look at the state's ongoing issues with its recycling systems.
The Fox 12 investigators first brought you the story of how thousands of tons of plastic that people thought was being recycled was actually headed to landfills.
Simon Gutierrez, who did that story, joins us now in studio with just what has changed over the last year. Simon, good morning.
Well, the short answer is not a whole lot. The state still doesn't have a good idea what to do with a lot of the plastics. The state's recyclers have found some new markets overseas, but some local solutions are also popping up.
A trunk load of plastic and plastic foam that had been gathering dust.
Just trying to clean things up.
Materials Kathy Ray has been stashing in her garage.
You said you'd been holding on to them with the hopes that you'd find a place
Find
for them.
some place for them, yeah. And I look on the internet every once in a while for different types of plastics and things. And I knew that eventually somebody would come forward, and then this place started advertising.
This place meaning Agilix in Tigard, a company that now specializes in turning plastic trash into something of value.
We're able to take material that wasn't recyclable, that didn't have an outlet for, and we put it into a product so that it can then be reused and reused and reused and reused.
According to the Department of Environmental Quality, it's the only recycler in Oregon that can handle what's considered contaminated polystyrene, like containers that have touched food.
Where it can be contaminated with food, it can have some residue from food. You know, when we're working with groups, we say, just don't give us the entire hamburger.
A couple years ago, Agilix pivoted away from general plastics recycling to focus entirely on polystyrene, opening a door for foam packaging, nursery trays, and number 6 plastic containers that would have been bound for a landfill to have a second life. The company accepts material from anyone that brings it, and the dumpsters in front of the facility are rarely empty.
Love it, love it. It's a commercial way to solve the problem. People make money, gets rid of the issue.
But not entirely. Ever since China stopped accepting mixed waste plastics from the United States, local recyclers have struggled to find buyers for a variety of plastics. 24 recyclers around the state got permission from the DEQ to send materials to landfills and have disposed of more than 15,000 tons since late 2017.
We do need an increase in infrastructure to handle that material, as well as sorting that material.
The DEQ has formed a recycling steering committee that's looking into what changes need to be made locally to lessen the state's reliance on foreign recyclers. Tonight at 10, we'll take a closer look at how companies like the one we just saw could play a pivotal role in that whole thing.
Yeah, and then you mentioned while we were watching that there's now a bill being suggested to get rid of that polystyrene altogether, right? So then what happens to that company?
Yeah, well, the whole idea is that the styrofoam or the polystyrene that we're talking about, like the idea was that it's not recyclable for many years.
Right.
And the fact is, according to this company, it's actually one of the more easily recyclable plastics out there. But because so much of this material had been destined for a landfill before this, you know, there's been kind of a groundswell of movement to ban these things because you have these takeout containers and things like that, and typically they end up in the garbage. But again, here's a local company stepping up to say that we can take this material and we can do something with
Figured
it.
it out. All right, Simon, great report.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much, Simon.